So today I thought that I would take you a little walk around the herbs that I've got growing in the garden, the medicinal ones. Of course, I'm starting off here with our raspberry plants. Raspberry, easy to tell when they're not in fruit because of that pale silvery underneath the leaf. And we use raspberry, we dry the leaf for tea, and particularly good for women just before they give birth and afterwards as well, of course. That's where it's become quite famous. I don't have a very big herb garden, but I'm certainly growing more and more every year. So this lovely blue flower here, this is catmint, one of the mint family, of course. Cats absolutely love it. I've managed to grow mine to be quite robust here, despite the neighbour's cats loving a roll in it. And this we use as a tea to bring down temperatures. So this is a really nice, delicate tea you can use with your children even, if they just have a little bit of a raised temperature, of course with other safety aspects in, but that's how I would use it in my dispensary. Also really good for hot-headed people who really get too hot and then get very irritable and lose their tempers. This here is lemon balm. And I really wish I could share the smell with you because it's absolutely delicious. You can see the bees are buzzing round about here. That smell, that lemony, fresh scent is absolutely beautiful, and I'm going to harvest this later on today and make a tincture from it. So we use lemon balm as it's a typical herb for things like IBS, so it's very supportive to the digestion, but it's also really calming as well. And then the next plant that we have along here is verbascum. So this is not verbascum thapsus that we use medicinally. Somehow I've ended up to get another kind here, but you can just see that the flowers are just starting to come to here, and we would usually put these in an oil like organic sunflower oil and infuse them to make medicine for earache. That can be very soothing. And when you have the straight leaved version, not the curly one, like this, it's softer, and we would use the leaves to make a cough medicine. Coming along here, we've got Leonora's cardiaca or motherwort, and that's going to be harvested today. And this we use for people who have hyperactive thyroid, and also for people who have palpitations. So it's about, you can see that this plant has a very, very square stem, and that the leaves go two to one side and two to the other, so they're equal and opposite leaves, and it looks incredibly regular. Those stems are really very, very angular, and so that helps us to remember that this plant is about regulating things. It regulates monthly bleeds for women, regulates palpitations, as long as they are palpitations at rest, and not due to any kind of heart condition. Very, very useful plant. The next one along here is marshmallow. So here the leaves are beautifully soft, and we're going to dry those to make tea, and then in the autumn time we'll harvest the roots, and we use that for people who have acid reflux. It's very, very good. Down here you can see I've got some California poppy. There's some of the first flowers just starting to bud there. If you can see that, that's a lovely calming remedy for people who think too much. Now here's another great big motherwort, but nestling in its shelter. And once these motherworts are cut down today, we'll see this is Verbena officinalis. Great calming remedy, really great for people who need to let go. And we're going to let that grow up a bit once the motherwort's away. Here's my Caledonia, which is really going over now. And if you can see, we tinctured this some weeks ago now. Very good remedy for the gallbladder. And if I just manage to take off one of these, you'll see that inside is a really bright yellow, it's not quite in focus, but it's a very bright yellow sap there. There you can see it now, which we like to draw tattoos on with. But that's the key part of this remedy. This is a practitioner only remedy, so only allowed to be used by herbalists, practicing herbalists. And we have a limited amount that we can give you in a week. And then this plant here that's just coming up, this is Inula helenium. So that's going to come up with a beautiful, very tall yellow daisy head. And Inula is a great remedy for anything to do with respiratory, really. So old coughs and colds, chronic bronchitis, things like that. Here's our elder, which I'm not sure if we can see any leaves yet. Any flowers yet coming up here. This is not long transport. Here's one hiding in here. Can you see that? So soon these flowers will cover this whole tree, and that's a key hay fever remedy. And then we'll leave enough of those so we get berries in the autumn time, because that's a great antiviral remedy for coughs and colds. Down here we've got some herb Robert that's invaded the garden, but I'm quite happy about that. And here's some borage, lemon verbena, which is a lovely calming herb. And then this beauty here is woad. Now it's going into seed now, and it is it's the roots that we need come the autumn time. Autumn is really the time for harvesting roots, when the plants stop putting all of its effort into flowers and seed and fruit. But this plant, woad, is dyer's woad. So this is the where we got the blue pigment for our face paints, a la Braveheart back in the day. But it's also a very good antiviral remedy. Antiviral for coughs, colds, things like that. And I haven't worked with it very much in that capacity, so it's very lovely to get to know this plant by growing it first of all. Down here there's some plantain. I'm sure you're used to seeing that in grass. I'm trying to grow bigger versions of it so I can make tinctures from that. And some self-seeded calendulas along there. And then as we move along, here is some alchemilla. If you can see those umbrella-shaped leaves with those little jewels on them. It looks like raindrops. It's actually not. It's an exudate from the leaf. And it's called alchemilla because the alchemists used to think that those little dewdrops were integral to helping to turn lead into gold. This is a very good remedy for many different period troubles. Called lady's mantle because it looks like a cloak, and it's amazingly soft as well. And that's in amongst some woundwort there, which is really good for insect bites. I've got some yarrow growing there, just little babies, which I'm going to be bringing on. And there's feverview, which has become very famous for migraines. Parieteria, or pellitory of the wall, which is an excellent kidney support remedy. And here you might know this as sticky willy or goosegrass. Very important lymphatic remedy, really great for tonsillitis, swollen glands, anything like that. Very, very important. Although most people would consider it to be a weed. These are my baby St. John's worts, which are coming along nicely. And here, last in the herb garden round this side of the house, we've got these two bergamot plants. Now, this is not the bergamot orange, but this is bergamot plants that back in the day of the Boston Tea Party, when all the English tea was tipped into the harbour, the Boston Harbour, the British learned from the locals that you could drink this and it tasted quite like Earl Grey. And a very kind patient of mine knew I wanted to try it. Its name is Monarda, Latin name, and so gave me two babies here to grow myself. So I'm really excited to get to know this plant as it grows. So the herb garden's going to start to look a bit different because we're going to start to harvest in the next few days. You see my son running in and out of this. And I just wanted to capture that for you and show you what it looks like before that harvest begins. Hope you've enjoyed that little tour.